Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising. Hello, and welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rosegold, International Success Coach. And here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. Today, I have with me Todd Carlton, and Todd is with BNY Wealth. So we have a very hot topic for you guys today. We're super excited for this interview. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Misty. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on my show.
Of course. I'm super excited.
Me too. And I'm glad that we tackled some of the technology hurdles, and here we are.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, you guys, it seems to be the theme of the week, tech challenges of getting the interviews done. But here we are, and we just keep showing up and persevere. And it's the name of the game in business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the hot and spicy topic today that Todd has for us is that BNY Wealth has interviewed 100 businesses who've exited. So what was that interview process, and why did you guys interview them?
Yeah, Misty, we did, and we were. It's something we've done throughout the years, and we spend a great deal of time understanding the mindset of the business owner, specifically as they start to think through whether or not they want to exit or the right time to exit. And while we are in no means an investment banking firm or that we help them with the exit, we try to help them think through what the end of that exit looks like and help
Mhm.
them think through, post liquidity, what their life might be like and how do they position themselves before they go through the sale for the eventuality that is post sale.
Mhm.
And in order to, we find a best way to understand the mindset of the entrepreneur is shockingly to ask the entrepreneur, what are they thinking? How was the experience? And so we actually partnered with the Harris Poll to conduct an interview of 127 different business owners that had gone
Mhm.
through an exit and really talk to them about their experience going through that. What did they find was surprising? Were they happy with the outcome? What would they have done
Mhm.
differently? And it really just helps us help that next generation of business owners as they're thinking through the exit. So honestly, so we can be better advisors to those folks
Mhm.
and share with them the stories of people who have come before them, which is, as you know, you and I talked in the past, the stories are really where the power is. And when
Mhm.
you can give real life examples to business owners about, we've seen this, we've done this is what the experience was. It really helps people live that experience and it helps them kind of internalize that experience and better visualize what that looks like on the other side. So, we did it for obviously the business owners, but we also did it to help us be better advisors to those same business owners.
I appreciate that very much because the exit conversation is one that I have frequently with my clients and people in my network. So um, it's I mean, the exit process, you just don't know. A lot of people go into it thinking it's like selling a house. It's like, put it on the market in two
Right.
days and
Sure.
we're going to sell in 30 days. Like, no, it doesn't quite work that way. So,
It is definitely an involved process that I think most, unless they've gone through it before, are surprised at the number of hurdles that arise, the planning that needs to take place, and really all the number of people that get involved from the exit process. It's not just engaging a business broker and investment banker. I mean, there's a whole team that unless you've been through that, it's a It's a humbling and eye-opening experience, to say the least.
Definitely. I'm walking one of my clients through that process, and we just did a business evaluation with SDR Ventures, one of my M&A partners, and it is a process, and it definitely is eye-opening. It can be emotional, it can be triggering in a lot of ways because
Oh, without a doubt.
when you get a clear path ahead on how to exit and what we need to do specifically to exit successfully, especially with SDR Ventures and the VCs that they have access to, and um, it gives you such a clear path ahead. It's like, oh, now how am I getting in the way of this? Like it's it's a lot of times it's easier to just kind of think like, I hope one day I can exit, and then just bury your head in the sand or just kind of keep doing what you're doing. But when you have somebody like myself in the mix and then you throw Jeff in the mix, whew, it's a whole nother ball game. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. And having the experts on your side from a valuation perspective, coach that can help you go through that, we found in the survey that that makes such a tremendous difference in the
Mm,
lives of those business owners to have somebody that can shepherd them through that. Because as you point out, it can be triggering and emotional. If you think about selling anything, the
mhm,
buyer of that property is going to find every defect in that property that they possibly can in order to try to drive the price down.
right.
They don't want to pay the top price. They want to pay what they want to pay less than what you were asking, or maybe what they consider fair and reasonable, which is going to be most likely not aligned with exactly what the business owner was thinking. So having that
Mhm,
team around them
mhm,
to help them emotionally, but also help them, with the numbers and the logic and making sure that they have the
yeah.
right folks, keeping their eye on the future.
Mhm,
Just like you said, the investment banking firm, the valuation firm, the coach is so important to that process, and selfishly, so is a wealth manager. Quite frankly, that's one of
mhm,
the things that we found out is you have a business owner that's always drawn a salary, and they've had a business that has pushed income out to the family. One of the top
mhm.
questions we get is, quite frankly, simply, how am I going to get paid? If I don't have a paycheck, how does money come in the door, and what does that look
Right,
like? And so
right.
it's just that basic, simple, those simple things where, as you pointed out, that team is so, so important.
Oh, it's vital. So yeah, I'm kind of like an emotional support animal for these people.
Yeah, and it's such a
But
valuable, a valuable piece of the team that I think is not emphasized nearly enough, quite honestly.
mhm. There's also, other practical, logical parts to it of making sure, like, because the VCs are going to come in with a fine tooth comb and they're going to just like look for anything, right? So if we're able as coaches to come in and say, hey, let's make sure that you have these systems in place. Let's make sure that you have these repeatable processes in place. Let's make sure that everything is set up seamlessly, kind of like you're going to franchise it. So if you look at it that way, if you set it up to franchise, even though you're not franchising it most of the time, like that's not the goal of the business owner. But if you set it up to franchise, it's going to eliminate a lot of the bugs of passing it over because they want a plug and play system. They want something that's proven that already works. Then they don't want to have to come in and, do the housekeeping kind of stuff on that end. So that's a big part of the process. And then putting the business owner in the CEO position is absolutely necessary for being able to sell the business, especially at the mergers and acquisitions level. When you're playing from about 5-10 million up to 100 million, you have to make sure that the business owner is removable as a CEO. Like the business isn't fully dependent on them. So that's a part of the process as well that we all go through, that me and other coaches that work on exiting strategies. That's not my sole focus, but it is a fun part of the work that I do and I love it. So um, that's something that we have to look at is the business owner willing to take the CEO position and put other people in play so that he or she is removable in 5 to 10 years. So there's a lot that goes into it. The culture is a huge part of it, nurturing an effective culture, because ultimately, when somebody wants to come in and buy up a business, they don't want to buy a toxic culture
Right.
traditionally.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right.
Mm. And some of the CEOs slash business owners are required to stay on for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years after the business is purchased, so that the new owner is confident in how the business is going to run, and then they get a little bit of traction to put somebody else in there. So um, the time frame there varies from each deal, but yeah, if people are in the exiting process or they think about exiting someday, they need to have the team around them for sure. And you need to have a financial expert involved that's going to help you with money on the back end, meaning a wealth manager, financial advisor. You need to have your coach that can help you see your blind spots in this space. You need to have your mergers and acquisitions person picked out already. Like, you need to take that journey with them for at least 5 years before you pull the trigger. So that's
Yeah,
kind of where it's at.
we agree. We totally agree. In the survey really backs up exactly what you said. Is one of the
Mm,
regrets that was mentioned in the survey was that the business owners wish they had started earlier,
mhm,
because, as you said, you have to get your books in a particular way that is going to be appealing to that venture capital firm or that M&A advisory firm or whoever
mm,
that is. They're going to
mm,
the acquiring company is going to want to see things in a particular way, and starting early, not just for the business, but also for the personal side. The number one thing that we hear, well, maybe not the number one of the top things we hear, is really how do we minimize the tax impact on the back end?
mm.
Because the government is really a partner in your wealth. And you can make them a really big partner or you can make them a smaller partner, but they're always a partner in your wealth. And most of our clients, actually, I've never met a client that says that they're looking to pay more taxes. A lot of our clients are willing to pay their fair share, but they don't want to
Mm,
pay more than what they have to. And there's a number of strategies that if you start early, like you said, if you start 5 years early and
mhm,
thinking about there's a lot of things that a trust and estate attorney or a wealth manager can advise you to think about in order to, it may be as simple as um, starting some planning and giving away shares of the company to some heirs at a lower valuation, so it's out of your
mm,
estate. We've seen a lot of companies move in their domicile of their company to a no income tax state like a Texas or a Florida, in order to move the headquarters there so that when they sell, they're not paying that estate tax or that state level tax. But that's something that takes, the states are actually pretty smart in this, that if you
mm.
move a month before you sell, that's probably not going to pass the sniff test. If you move multiple years before you sell, that's planning that does take some time to execute. But given the level of taxation at the state level, it could make a lot of sense to move the domicile of the company. Again, as you well know, it's a case by case basis, but there's a lot
Right.
of things that you can't do in 6 months, but you can
Mm,
do that in 3, 4, 5 years. And so you're absolutely right when you said that starting early, that was one of the top regrets that the survey pointed out was that they wish they had started earlier,
mhm,
for the planning purposes, for getting the books in order, for building the
mhm,
right team. Um,
mhm.
and that's, that honestly, the earlier you start, there's a pretty high correlation to the better the outcome.
Yeah, definitely. So the client that I'm thinking of, we started that conversation from the very beginning. When he broke off from his business with his brother, he was like, I'm going off on my own. And the plan was, we're going to use this as a retirement strategy and we're going to exit in like 8 years type of situation. So that was 3 years ago when we started the conversation. And that's been the thought process from day dot. But we have to remember that there are people involved and there are beliefs, thought processes, negativities, biases, maybe some idealistic thinking that doesn't align with this process,
Sure.
like uber positive idealistic thinking can kind of derail the exit process. So that's where it's important to find a well-rounded coach that not only can handle the business strategies and the exit strategies, but also the personal growth challenges that come with thinking about how do I create this thing to sell? Because you have to essentially evolve as a new person from where you're at. Like nobody gets out of this without some evolution.
Right.
And that process is sticky and painful, and there can be massive roadblocks, and you can be the massive roadblock for the business and for
Yeah.
the exit process. So there's a lot to think about in that space. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence when you're looking at coaches, be it a business coach, a business consultant, or myself, a success coach for business owners. Make sure that they have the people skills, make sure that they can like help you through those personal development challenges as they're helping you with the business, because if not, they're not filling you, they're not going to serve you fully.
Agreed. And we found that it was actually almost 60% of the business owners said that they weren't going to start a new business afterwards. And so having that coach that can work with you,
Mm,
not just through the sale, but looking on the other side of that, right? So it's
mm,
when the sale finishes, the job of the success coach, the job of the wealth manager, does, we the success coach may go to a different phase,
mm,
but helping them think through that in their next venture and what are they going to do next and how do they acquire. And then the same thing
mm,
with the wealth manager. We're dealing with, a certain thing pre-liquidity, and then you're dealing with certain things post-liquidity, and being that partner through them to them throughout all of those stages
mm,
is so important. And by the way, once the sale happens, is not the ideal to go find your team. It's not the ideal time to go find that team, right? You want somebody
no.
that understands exactly, the reason that you sold, the ideas that you have, your goals
Mm,
and objectives for your family and yourself, and that it becomes really important for that business owner to
mm,
have that is the saying is start with the end in mind,
yes.
and understand what that looks like and how you get there, and then surround yourself with the experts to help walk you through that.
Mm. And it can be a very surprising conversation with most business owners that I run across. I'm like, what's your exit strategy? What's your succession plan? What's going on? And they're like, I never thought about it. It's the standard response. And that's okay, because when a business owner goes into starting a business, they have a passion, they have a dream, they have a desire. They're like, oh, this is my thought process. But it's not common to think about, unless they do this as their retirement plan. It's not common to think about an exit strategy from the very beginning. And some people don't want to think about it straight away because it might kill their passion. Well, no, it doesn't. It just gives you a clear view ahead. Now, there are people out there that go and it's their plan to create 5 businesses and sell them, and then boom, they're done. Like, and some people are very gifted at it, so they start from the very beginning with that strategy in mind. They don't get super emotionally attached to the business. They build it, it's successful, it's profitable, they sell it, they're out, they're on to the next thing, right? So there are very gifted people in that area, but that's not the standard entrepreneur, that's not the standard business owner. So I really appreciate what you're saying on the financial end of making sure that they come in. If you're thinking about any exit strategy, even if you're going to pass it on to an heir, like you need to make sure that you're passing on something decent. But when you're selling the business, exiting the business, you're planning 5 to 8 years in advance to have a very successful exit. And your wealth advisor, your wealth financial advisor, wealth manager, whatever you guys call them, is very, very vital to that conversation. So make sure that you're planning in advance, 5 to 8 years in advance, maybe even longer, let's say 10 years on that regard, of how do we set up enough investments? How do I budget my my money so that when I do exit, if I don't want to start another business, I have enough money in investments to take care of everything. Plus, you're going to have the proceeds from the exit. Like, but planning ahead in that regard is so important. And I fully am on board with that.
It is, and we find one of the big holdbacks on when people decide they want to sell is finding the right price. And there's a negotiation that goes in there, and where we find ourselves being very valuable is helping them. We listen to their goals, and one of our taglines is, "What do you want your money to do for you?" And
Mm,
understanding what their goals and objectives are long term. Is it leaving a
mm-hmm,
legacy philanthropically? Is it making sure that their children are well taken care of? Is it making sure that they protect their children from the wealth? Is it whatever that if they want their children to start new businesses, whatever that is, we try to understand that, and then we can help them think through the structure of their estate in order to accomplish that.
mm-hmm,
And as you said, starting early, but the idea in the negotiation is when that price starts to come down, and they've always had $50 million dollars as their number, right? Whatever that number is, 50, 60, 25, whatever their sale number is that they have had in their mind, chances are it's probably going to back off of that if that was their starting asking price for any number of reasons. A good wealth management partner can help them understand what their goals are and see if that new number still allows them to achieve their goals long term.
mm,
So
yeah,
if we had to back off 3 or 4%, what does that really do long term to your ability to reach and achieve your goals,
mm-hmm,
whatever those may look like?
mm-hmm,
Most of the time, I would say a high percentage of the time, that small fluctuation in the price doesn't really affect their ability to reach and achieve their long-term goals. Maybe they have one plane instead of two. Maybe their yacht's only 40 feet instead of 80 feet. Whatever the case may be, they can't get four houses in Aspen. They just have to settle for one in Vail. Whatever that may be, it's just a conversation that you have, and we try to work with them to help them understand the reality of that.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
we tell people all the time, it's their money. We can't, it's not our job to tell them what to do with their money. What we try to do is help them understand what the long-term effects of the decisions they're making today with their
mm-hmm,
wealth are going to be. And that's
mm-hmm,
what a really good wealth management partner does and should do, pre-sale and post-sale, to understand what your objectives are, and then help you understand the landscape of the decisions that you can make and what the outcome of that can be. So
mm-hmm,
that's where we try to help them on the emotional side in the sale is, what, a 2% decrease in the prices, that hurts. We understand that. But let me show you financially actually what that means long term. And it's not going to put a major dent in your lifestyle. Then we work with you, Misty, and say, help them over this hurdle. That this is it's an emotional thing, but they need to talk through it and think through it. Let's figure out how we can talk to them about what that success looks like. So anyway,
yeah.
that's where we find a really a kind of the support piece of what we do through the sale process.
You said something that brought up a point that I need to make because we want to be realistic with our numbers. So if a business owner is thinking, I'm going to sell my business for X amount of dollars, but they don't have a coach to help them through the process, they don't have an M&A advisor to help them through the process, guess what? You're not going to have realistic numbers in your
No.
head. And then when you go to sell, you're going to be so disappointed, right? So let's avoid that conversation with your wealth manager. Let's avoid that disappointment. So when like SDR Ventures is like my number one M&A partnership, I have another one, but they're sitting in the number one spot for me because they create such an amazing experience for my clients and for their clients. And sometimes they're both. So they have amazing contacts in the VC world. So they actually create a bidding war and it drives up the price, which is great. And
Absolutely.
like, I love that. But they're also full of integrity and they run the business. Like, it's not common for M&A firm to be this way, but they are. And it's, they're capable of doing a lot. So one of the things that they offer is a business evaluation, and that business evaluation is going to give you the true story. It's going to give you a true evaluation of what you can potentially sell the business for in X amount of years. And then also you can tell them, I want to exit with 10 million. I want to exit with 30 million. I want to exit with 50 million. How do we get there? how do we work backwards? And Jeff and his team can give you during the evaluation process a clear path ahead that says, in order to get to this number, here's what we need to do. Now, Misty, go help them implement it. Okay.
Yeah, that's where the
But
real work comes in, Misty.
exactly. So if you guys are set on a specific number, make sure that you're working with a company like SDR Ventures to get the realistic picture going. Don't give up on that dream. Just make sure that you have the people with the right expertise guiding you to that process. So it's very, very vital. And that will avoid some of those disappointing conversations with your wealth manager.
That no, you're exactly right. And I love the work that you just described because it you may have a number in mind and you may say I'm ready to exit today and this is my number. And if you have a partner that can speak to you honestly about you're not there today,
Mhm,
but here's how you get there,
mhm,
and here's what we would need to see, and here's what the market says, and here's what we're expecting. One of the things that we find is that once you make the decision to sell, you're not selling in today's market, you're selling tomorrow's market. And
mhm,
so having a partner that can help you understand what tomorrow's market is going to look like and
mhm,
what you need to do to arrange that business, and having somebody like yourself that can go help execute that is important. And by the way, you may go to them and they may say your business isn't worth this, but it's worth this. And you sit down with your wealth management partner and say, what does my life look like post liquidity with this amount of money instead
mhm,
of this? And can I
mhm.
achieve my goals? And having that honest conversation with them about what that life looks like. And again, maybe you don't need two jets, you just need one, or maybe the yacht's a little smaller, or maybe there's not as many houses, whatever that is. But having that kind of expectation check of
Yes.
understanding what reality is, because you find yourself at the country club or you find yourself at the restaurant or you find yourself at a backyard barbecue and your neighbor always sold for some ridiculous multiple that sounds unbelievable. Chances are
Mhm,
it's totally unbelievable and it's not reality, and they probably inflated it. And having a partner that you can talk to about what reality is that is actually
mhm.
helping business owners is really building that team to help you through that process is just so important and so invaluable.
It is. And then you know that you're not doing it by yourself. And then you have the power of the team, especially when the team communicates so closely, like I do with Jeff at SDR Ventures. And, if somebody else needs to come into that conversation, they can come into that conversation. Fortunately, my client is a wealth manager and he does other things in his business. So I didn't have to bring that person into the conversation,
Yeah,
just
sure.
fortunately. But it's like people, that's one of the common things that I've heard from business owners over many, many, many years is it's lonely. I don't have somebody to talk to. I don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of. And that space of loneliness also puts you in tunnel vision, but it also limits the power that you need to take your business to that exit or that level that you're reaching for. So if you bring on somebody like myself, I come in with a tremendous amount of power myself, and that helps you to get where you're going, just the power that I bring to the table of my own energy. And then if I'm sitting at the table with Jeff, myself, and the business owner, that's another level of power that you need to have the force behind you to drive this baby home. So think about it from that standpoint of like, we're so much more powerful together than you are on your own.
Agreed. And I would add on to that is that you all have a stable of experts that you can bring in.
Hmm.
One of the mistakes that was identified that people wish they had done differently was sometimes they use the same CPA that is doing their bookkeeping and is doing their tax returns, but the expertise of a CPA to get your business ready to sell and the expertise of a CPA that is doing your tax returns and your general bookkeeping are very different qualities and
Mm-hmm.
qualifications. And the
Mm-hmm.
one that is getting your business ready to sell and is going through a transaction with your valuation and your life coach and your wealth manager is very different than the one who's preparing the tax returns for your business or your family. And when you try to use the same team and you say, well, I have a really good, this is my brother-in-law, and he's always been my CPA. Well, your brother-in-law may be an exceptional CPA, but he may not be well versed in all the things business transaction. And
Mm-hmm.
so bring it when you get the right cornerstone of a team, they can bring in other experts to the table, as you said, to work the power of that multiplication and amplification of that team when they bring in the ones that they typically work with and they can see maybe where the gaps are. It does such a your likelihood of a successful exit from a not only a monetary standpoint, but also just satisfaction. Are you happy with the outcome? Did you get what you wanted? Did you feel that you received a fair value? Did your employees, did you sell it to somebody that you're happy that your employees are going to be working with? Is there a cultural fit? Because
Mm-hmm.
you spent a lot of time building this business, and one of the primary concerns with these business owners is, man, these employees are my family, and I've worked with them for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and maybe multiple generations of that same family have worked with these employees, and you want to make sure that they have a good home. And again, bringing in the right group that can help you vet and ask those questions, because that may not be something that you would naturally think of, but
Mm-hmm.
help having that team that can help you think through just those basic ideas, is like you said, the power of that is extraordinary.
Well, and I think a lot, it's important to set up the right culture, because if you set up the right culture, you set the tone pretty early on for the people. They know what to expect. What really upsets people is when they're blindsided. So if you're preparing people that, hey, we're planning on exiting in 5 years, we want to make sure that a good company comes in and buys us, we're going to do our due diligence to make sure you guys are taken care of, that kind of thing. It gives the person the ability to say, okay, cool, I want to be a part of this, I want to be a part of the exit, I want to be a part of this until they exit. I'll find something else at that point. It gives them time to prepare. So I think being a little bit more transparent, which is not common in the business community yet, but it needs to
Agreed.
be be more transparent so you're not shocking your employees and say, okay, guess what? In 3 months, we're exiting. Like, that's traumatic. Do not give them the trauma. That's where you can have the worst case scenarios happen, right? But if you really care about these people, have the uncomfortable conversations, take the risk that they might leave you early, take the risk. It's better for the culture overall, because guess what? If I'm a VC, let's think about it from their perspective. I'm a VC, I'm coming in, I'm buying up a business that's successful, and they're supposed to have this great track record. They're supposed to have, like 20% growth every year, awesome, the great culture, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just bought the company. The employees just found out I'm taking over in a month. Culture's shot. I'm stepping into a landmine. You know what? You may have just ruined the deal for me, because you did not do your due diligence and have the uncomfortable conversations with the employees up front and tell them, hey, we're exiting. It's going to happen in a year. It's going to happen in 2 years. It's going to happen in 3 years. Whatever the runway is that you can give them. It's just better for everybody involved. It's better for the VC. Like, you don't want the VC being like, man, I just bought a piece of crap because all the employees left.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's a lot of times some back end handcuffs on those deals too, that there are some revenue expectations and some profitability expectations, so
Mm,
that the owner who is now exited, as you talked about at the beginning, they may have an expectation that they're going to be there for 6 months, a year, 2 years,
mm,
and
mhm.
there's performance expectations on the back end of those, so that if they find out that you haven't done this correctly, there should be some real financial penalties that could be assessed, because you didn't have those conversations and your employees are surprised, and all of a sudden they bought a business that doesn't have any employees left. And that's an uncomfortable place to be in.
Yeah. So this is definitely a real talk conversation today between me and Todd.
No doubt.
It's the kind of mood I'm in right now, and I'm always in the mood to share the truth, but this is one of those moments where it's like, you know what, the truth might be uncomfortable, but we need it. We need to see the big picture. So many people live in that little micro picture of our selfish little lives in this moment. Like, I love living in the moment, but not in a selfish little, like, it's just about me, right? So, the better we get at seeing the big picture, including myself, thinking through everything from big picture perspective, it's going to give you the lens of truth. And the truth might hurt a little bit, but it's also going to give you that clear path ahead and give you more confidence. And you should be excited once you digest the truth and the pain of it. Like, it should give you the excitement of, you know what, cool. Like, I know who to pick up the phone and call. I know who to set an appointment with in this process every single step of the way. I know what to do and I know what not to do. That's the biggest thing. People don't understand what not to do. It's like, what are those blind spots that we all have? And who do you have around you that's helping you see those blind spots? Just give yourself permission. So how I see this, because of all the years that I've been coaching people and working with business owners, which is decades, I see it always comes back to an emotional issue of, you know what, if I set myself up for success like this, then what do I really have to deal with within myself? And 9 times out of 10, it's a feeling of unworthiness. So people spend all this time distracting and sabotaging and, doing things that are not revenue generating, that are not going to help them with their exit. They do all this other stuff because of that internal stuff, the internal challenges that they're facing. And it's something that I see over and over and over and over again. So if you find yourself distracted from a very clear plan, if you have all your ducks in a row, if you have all the people, the advisors, the experts on board that are giving you a clear path ahead, and you're still not executing on the daily steps to get there, that's when you need to check yourself and look at the internal person and be like, okay, I'm the roadblock here. And why am I the roadblock? Like, I want this, it's my dream, but am I going to let myself receive it? So anytime that my people are like super distracted and self-sabotaging, it's like, no, remind yourself, I am open to receiving, right? We need to create those new neurological pathways to get out of the old unworthiness crap. I am open to receiving. I am open to receiving. The more you repeat it every single day, do it for 2 months, guess what? You're going to have new neurological pathways created. And it's going to be easier to focus on what it is that we're working toward a goal. Even if it's not exit strategy, it's so much easier to focus. And that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is that focus piece. And the distractions come from the internal mess that we deal with. So I have to throw that out there because it's a common issue that pops up in my world.
I agree with you. I think if it was just about the numbers, these things would go so smoothly because this would be the numbers and this is what, but it's a very emotional process. And when it's a personal business that you have started and grown, or your family member has started and grown, or you've somehow been involved with, that is, now going through a transition, it can be the emotions play a huge part in that. And, you have to, just like you said, if there is something that becomes a roadblock and the logic isn't there, it's probably an emotional roadblock. And so working with that group that you've surrounded yourself with, and then the nice part is that, we've talked a lot about the things that can go wrong. The great part is there's teams out there and there's people out there that are willing to help these business owners think through it and get through to a successful exit.
Right.
And, the survey responses were overwhelmingly like in the 90%, that people were happy with the exit that they had. Were they happy with the entire process?
No.
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 It's a hard process and it's not always a lot of fun. Again, somebody is in there calling your business not exact, they're calling it ugly, and they're pointing out all the flaws in that business in order to make a purchase price. And so you're sitting
Mhm.
there trying to internalize that and then come back with logical responses and fix some things that they found, and going back and forth. And that's a painful process. And as you said, you layer in the emotions, and that's really hard. But at the end of that process, once you get through that, 90-ish plus percent of our respondents said that they were happy with the decision that they made to go and sell the business. So, once you talk through it, once you get yourself emotionally prepared for that,
Mhm.
it can be a very rewarding experience at the end. If you ask
Mhm.
somebody on, 80% the way through, they're probably not thinking it's terribly rewarding. But once they get to the end state, we find that most people are very happy with their decision that
Mhm.
they've worked through to, yeah. Are there things they would have done differently? Absolutely. But in life, it's a rare moment that we can't reflect on things that we would have done slightly differently to have a slightly different outcome. But this is no different, that they're very happy with that. But
Mhm.
there's always things that are learnings. And you know what? When 60% of them are going to start another business, they'll have another time to do it better the second or third time. So they can have multiple chances at selling businesses to get better every time.
Heck yeah, definitely. And, for people like myself and like Jeff, we're not the come in, destroy you type of people.
Right?
So, um, for myself, my process is very enjoyable, even if we have to do some uncomfortable things once in a while, which we do. It's a very enjoyable process. I'm not just like, here's where you're doing everything wrong,
Oh, right.
here's where
Oh
you're doing
no.
everything
Yeah.
right. Like,
Yeah.
our egos are so fragile, they can't handle that, right? So,
And
and
apologies, I didn't intend to imply that you or Jeff would do that. It was more the buyer that is coming in and suggesting
right,
that these things
right.
are different, or these are the things you need to do to make it more palatable for us to buy. Your team should be your biggest cheerleaders. You can
Mhm.
have honest discussions with them, and they should have honest discussions, but they should
Yeah.
also be on your side, just like you and Jeff are.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't want people to be scared of myself or Jeff
Oh gosh,
because,
no.
I mean, there are people in my space. I'm a success coach for business owners, and I do a lot of business coaching in that space. So, um, my counterparts are usually business coaches or business consultants, and they can be scary. Some of them come in just hard hitters, like, I'm going to rip you apart, and here you are. Like, here's everything that's wrong with the business. Here's everything that's right with the business. Now go have fun. And you're just sitting in a pool of emotional mess. You just had the biggest meltdown of your entire life, right?
Right.
So I'm not that person. Now, in the M&A space, it's a very transactional space, but Jeff isn't that person either. So when he's doing the business evaluation, like my client was so scared. He was like waiting for this big spotlight to be like, "Ah, here's where you're terrible, right?" But Jeff isn't like that. So when he does his business evaluations, yes, he's looking at all the details, all the numbers, but it's a much more like positive approach to the business owner and saying, hey, here's how we can achieve this if you do X, Y, and Z. So we both bring a very safe space and a very healthy, more on the positive bent for people. So when they're looking at this process, because it does entail a lot of emotion, it doesn't entail a lot of growth internally, externally, all those things. Like, you need to really look at the demeanor of the people, the team that you're taking on. And are they going to make it more challenging for you mentally and emotionally, or are they going to make it better for you? So, um, I know that myself and Jeff kind of make it as pleasant as possible. So something to consider when you guys are looking at the exit strategies and what team are you surrounding yourself with. Do your due diligence, dig deep, don't just take it at surface level. Like, how are you going to treat me through this process? Are you going to be aware of the fact that I'm a human being with emotions? Like, it's so important.
I 100% agree. It's you can we equate it to a medical procedure that you can go have a shoulder replacement, and the parts are all the same, but that
Mm-hmm.
bedside manner of the doctor that's going to have an honest conversation with you, but not to scare you about all the potentials that could happen during your surgery, but talking about the outcome and what your life's going to be like afterwards and how that procedure is going to happen. If you interview 4 or 5 surgeons, you're probably going to go with the one that had the best bedside manner, was honest and
Mm-hmm.
upfront with you, but was going to be there through the entire process, all the way
Mm-hmm.
through rehab and the follow-ups and it's no different with, like you said, picking your team through your M&A transaction.
Mm-hmm.
When you're deciding on that, you want somebody, just like you said, you and Jeff do, that you have an honest conversation with them, but you also are there to support them and with work with them through that process, which is
Mm-hmm.
not just here's all the things we find wrong, go back and fix it, and come back in 18 months. I mean, that's not terribly helpful. If they were going to fix it on their own, they would have done it before they showed up. So
Mm-hmm.
having people there that are going to work with them in that team, and that's the entire team. I mean, it's the CPA, it's the success coach, it's the M&A
Mm-hmm.
transaction, it's the valuation folks, it's your wealth manager. It's having a team that you like. And that you trust, and they can have an honest conversation with you, but at the same time, it's going to work with you to get to the result that you're looking for at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, preach. Well, I think we got to the bottom of this conversation, and I'm so glad that we got here. I'm so glad that we overcame our tech challenges to get here. And yeah, super valuable conversation for the business community, for both of our audiences. I'm super grateful for this conversation. I'm grateful that you guys interviewed 100 of the business owners who exited so that you have a clearer view of what the commonalities are. And thank you for confirming what I'm saying. Because of your experience, you're like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we heard in this interview process with all these people who exited. So I like to look at everything through the lens of multiples. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about how many businesses has your coach touched? How many businesses have I personally put my eyes on and experienced? And the M&A experts, like when you're looking at that, how many businesses have they worked with over the years? That gives all of us a better view of your business when you're going through a process, regardless of the process. It gives us an incredible viewpoint. So, like with your survey, after interviewing 100 businesses that exited, it gave you a better viewpoint from the wealth management standpoint of how to work with your clients that are on the exit path. So, multiples give us the wisdom, and it gives us a perspective that the general public doesn't have, or the traditional business owner doesn't have, because the traditional business owner is usually used to working with one business, theirs.
Right, right.
Yeah. So thank you for the multiples in your world. Thank you for all the clients that you see, but also the business owners and the people who've exited, and taking the wealth of knowledge that comes from that. So um, yeah, I'm going to close with that. Like, make sure whoever your team is, make sure that they have multiples of experience with people over time and businesses over time, and that this isn't their first rodeo. Please, please, please. Save yourself a lot of heartache. So, do you have a closing statement for the audience?
Yeah, Misty, I just thank you so much for giving me the time on your show. This has been fantastic. I always love to visit with others in the space, and
Mhm.
the nice part is that we did have a prep call, but we didn't talk about any of this on the prep call,
Nope.
which was great. We got to know each other a little bit. We understood each other's personalities, but the fact that
Mhm.
we both approach that business sale and business owners the same way is just reaffirming that what we found through the survey, which was start early, build the right team, get honest feedback and honest um, uh, advice from
Mhm.
your partners, and
Mhm.
then have that end in mind, and then have those conversations and understanding that it is about the numbers, but it's also the emotional piece, and being open to those conversations with your valuation person, with your success coach, with your wealth manager, to have to start with that end in mind, and
Mhm.
understanding what the not only that process and that transaction is going to look like, but also what the future looks like. And is this a team that you want long term? Is it a team that's going to work with your family? Is it a team that you feel like is going to achieve a positive outcome for all the stakeholders in your life? And that could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your employees, it could be all of them. But making sure that you make the right choices with your partners to achieve the right result for all those important stakeholders is just such a it's such an important thing to get right at the outset. And
Mhm.
spending more time on that will really increase the odds of a very successful exit, and a much smoother process, quite frankly.
Big picture, it's the theme of the day. I love that. So, Todd, how can people get a hold of you? Do the clients of BNY Wealth work directly with you?
Yeah, so I am the president of the Western US for BNY Wealth. So we have teams of advisors, that we have investment specialists, we have relationship managers, we have bankers, we have fiduciary experts, we have CPAs, we have attorneys that all work with our clients based on their personal needs.
Hmm.
We have a website that absolutely, if somebody is interested, it's bnywealth.com, and they can go there and absolutely get information on BNY Wealth and how to contact us. And we'd
Okay.
certainly love to talk to anybody that is contemplating an exit, that has gone through an exit. That we have a ton of great resources and thought leadership pieces, white papers on our site that people can download. And if they're not ready to talk to somebody, that they can go through and just see some of this information on their own,
Mm.
some strategies, some planning advice, things like that, that just kind of start to um, dip their toe into that. And there's a lot of great resources on our site that they can access without, until they're ready to talk to somebody. And then when they are, there's a contact link down there. It goes to a great group of professionals, and then they send it to somebody that's in their local market, and somebody makes an outreach. So we'd love to talk to
Okay.
them. I'd love to talk to everybody that wants to talk to me, but they probably actually want to talk to my team, that is just truly phenomenal, and the website's a great place to start.
I love that. So I know that there's a branch here in Denver,
There is.
and that's originally how we got connected. And then there's Dallas, that's where you're at. So do you have
Yes.
other branches?
Oh, yes. We have offices. So my offices are Denver, Dallas, Houston, Seattle, San Francisco, Menlo Park, Los Angeles, Newport Beach, Las Vegas. That's the Western U.S. And then we have,
Okay.
and most of the money centers in the on the Eastern Seaboard, in the middle of the country as well. So we spread out among the all around the country, in the larger metropolitan areas. And then if we don't have
Hmm.
an office there, we spend most of our time on airplanes visiting our clients, or we spend time on Zoom or Teams calls visiting with them as well. So we try not to let geographic limitations hinder our ability to work with clients. So absolutely, we love if somebody is in a city with one of our offices, to visit with them inside our office. If not, we're certainly not opposed to coming out and visiting with our clients. We do that a great deal.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know how to get in touch with
Of
you. And
course.
your company is definitely very accessible for people all over the United States. So that's a huge bonus. And if you guys are here in Denver, make sure to reach out to the Denver branch. Is it Austin that's the
Yes,
contact
yeah,
there?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Austin is, yeah, he's one of our team members in Denver. Eunice Kim is our market president in Denver. It's right there in Cherry Creek. I love that. It's one of my favorite offices to visit because that area is just so darn walkable, and the restaurants are great, and the hotels are great, and it's a
Hmm.
lively area.
Hmm.
It's just you go there and you just feel kind of the excitement of all things Denver. So, yeah, it's a great area to be in.
Austin Lee, right?
Yes, Austin Lee
Yeah,
is one of our team members down there. Absolutely.
yeah. I'm bringing up his full name because you guys can reach out to him on LinkedIn. If you want
Please.
to reach out to Austin Lee personally, you can do that on LinkedIn. I know he would appreciate it. Just say that you listened to Misty's podcast episode with Todd, and there
Yes.
you go. It's your in with Austin, but he's the local guy in the networking communities here in Denver. So
And he's one of my favorite reads on LinkedIn. He does these monthly hikes, and he posts these really thought-provoking, insightful posts on LinkedIn that I really enjoy reading. So yeah, everybody check out Austin, and he's a great team member and a super valuable part of our team in the Denver market.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Todd, for your time today. And thank you for all the wonderful information and the great conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
As have I. Thank you very much for having me, Misty.
You're welcome. And to the audience, thank you guys for listening. And until next time, we will see you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.